Oh. Oh. Oh, hey there, fellow questers. Welcome to Metaverse Adventures. My name is Immersive Matthew. Today is June 8th, and this is your Oculus Quest Week in Review. And yet another week of jam-packed news. It's killing me to put this all together. It's just so much going on. We're going to be talking again about the Quest hype cycle and all the sales that appear to be happening. We're going to be looking at a couple games, the Wizards, the Gargantua, and Elektra. We're going to be talking about 1996 and how it's brought Quake into the future, and it looks awesome on the Quest. We're going to be talking about easy ways to sideload applications, including all you Mac users out there who have been left out in the cold. We've got a solution for you now, for you to sideload as well. We're going to be talking about wearing glasses in the Quest and how that works. And we're going to be looking at how to pump up the resolution inside the Quest if you want to tinker around with it. This is pretty amazing stuff, and we've got more than that, so stay tuned for an awesome week of Quest in Review. We begin our week by looking yet again at the Google Trends hype cycle. Now, as you know, in the last 2 weeks, we've been reporting on web searches worldwide for the Oculus Quest, the Rift S, and the Valve Index. And all three of those devices peaked when they all got announced around May 1st. And we can see that in the search data here. And this is just people searching for those terms. Now, what's interesting is that the Rift S and the Valve Index really did plummet after that, whereas the Oculus Quest, as I've been reporting, has able to maintain a fairly decent amount of interest. And then, of course, when it came out on the 21st, it really shot up and had a huge peak. And since that time, while it's settled a little bit, it's still higher than even the high that it set before. So this is really a strong indication there's a lot of interest out there. What's interesting, as we roll the clock forward to this week, we're seeing a little bit of a dip at the end of the week in terms of web searches worldwide. And that's a little bit of a surprise, especially when we go over and look at the YouTube search data. It's actually the opposite. It's actually going up a little bit at the end of this week. So not really sure what's happening. Normally these two graphs sort of mirror each other relatively closely, but maybe all of you have discovered that YouTube is the place to get your Oculus Quest fix. I don't know, but that's what the data seems to indicate. So again, I will track this every week and see where it goes, but it does seem to be that the Oculus Quest hype train is continuing to rocket along. I cannot wait to see where this thing ends up this year. Also on the hype cycle, let's go over and look at the Amazon Top 100. As you know, since May 1st, the Oculus Quest has retained its position in the Top 100, and in fact, it even hit the #1 spot at one point. Well, last week I reported there were some shortages and some of the Quests weren't even shipping, and I'm happy to report that there are dates for shipping on all devices now from Amazon. However, they're not shipping very quickly. The 64 gigabyte, which right now sits in the 40s, is shipping in about 2 or 3 weeks, and the 128 gigabyte model is in the 70s and is shipping in 2 to 5 weeks. And so I imagine a lot of people, when they see that, are a little bit disgruntled, would rather get it shipped a lot quicker than that. And if you're anybody who's out there doing a little search where to get it from, you're probably realizing that getting it from Oculus.com is a lot faster. In fact, if you order a 64 gigabyte model today on Oculus, you'll get it by June 18th, or they'll ship it, I should say, by June 18th. It took me a week to get mine. And the 128 gigabyte model is shipping on June 10th, which is not too far out. So I think if you're going to get it, it's probably better to get on Oculus.com, but you still may be in a similar time zone with Amazon. Certainly the 64 gigabyte model is probably similar, whereas the 128 gigabyte model, it could be as much as 5 weeks on Amazon. So you're probably better to get it on Oculus.com, and it's shipping by June 10th, so it's pretty good. Last week I reported to you that Superhot saw sales 300% higher for their game on the Quest on day one than they did way back when the touch controllers launched, and they were launch titled with that back on the Rift. So we don't know how many they sold, but we know it's 300% higher, and that's apparently good for Superhot team, the developers behind the game. This week we learned that Apex Construct sold 400% more than when they originally launched on the Rift. So again, similar trends here. We're seeing developers coming out and saying that they're making good coin and seeing strong sales on their titles on the Quest. And I think that this kind of stuff getting out is only good for all of us Questers, because that means that other developers are probably going to take notice of this and put a little bit more thinking about whether they should port their game or even just make a game for the Quest. This is a very, very positive sign for the ecosystem that's developing here. Another piece of data that we're seeing that sort of indicates that the Quest is selling like crazy is that Vader Immortal has had 1,000 reviews on the Oculus store. And this is just for the Quest. And this is rather interesting because this is unusual for a title that's only been out for what, 2 weeks? And it's $10. It's already got 1,000 reviews. And just to put that in perspective, Robo Recall, which came out in 2017, early 2017, has 6,000 reviews. So that's been a couple of years, and it's at 6,000. So Vader Immortal's at 1/6 of that already in just a matter of like a couple of weeks. So this just really indicates there's a lot of people out there. And I should also mention, Robo Recall was packed with the Oculus Touch. So a lot of people got that anyways, whereas Vader Immortal, you gotta spend $10 to get that game. So this is exciting. I suspect that Vader Immortal is going to pass 6,000 in a lot quicker time frame than a couple years. This is exciting times. I'm sure the team over ILM are just thrilled with how many people are experiencing Vader Immortal. If you haven't tried it yet, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it is a really cool experience. I urge you to go check it out. On the game fronts this week, there's a couple cool games I want to announce that they are coming out. In fact, they're already in the store by the time you watch this video. One is a VR spellcasting game called The Wizard. It's a gesture-based spellcasting game, and you don't draw in the air, you do these kind of cool gestures, and it's actually a lot of fun, and you feel really like you're casting spells. They've done a really fantastic job. It originally launched on PC VR in early 2018, and then earlier this year in March in 2019, it got released for the PSVR, and in all cases, it gets pretty strong reviews. Upload VR gave it a 7.5 for the PSVR. I don't know what the reviews will be for the Quest, but early indications over on Reddit of people who have tried it are saying this is a game to seriously get. It's a lot of fun and people are really enjoying it. So I urge you to go over links below to go and check that out. The game has roughly 5 hours of story campaign, and it has a lot of replayable content, including an arena mode with 3 different environments. Another game that's just coming out in the store, and also right about this time that you watch this video, Sword of Gargantua. Now, I think I called it Gargantua at the very beginning of this video. It's Gargantua. It's a VR online action game where you're dominated by a race of giants called the Gargantua, and you and up to 3 other players will join together to fight in epic real-time battles against these Gargantua and in all of its forces. And it's a finely tuned, realistic sword battle type of game. It comes out June 7th, and what's cool about this one is that it has a co-op gameplay mode, and it's cross-platform, so those on the Rift and other PC VR devices are going to be able to play with you. So that's pretty cool. And one more game I want to talk about this week that's coming out is one called Elektra. It's sort of a Daft Punk style VR game where you're a DJ, and if you've ever wanted to DJ to a huge crowd of festival goers, this is the one for you. And I dabbled with this one back on the Rift, and I have to say, you feel pretty boss in there. And there's a lot of cool things to play with and to manipulate your sound. This is the future of DJing for sure. This is more of a game, and I'm sure there's going to be more legitimate DJ apps on the Quest. There are some already for the Rift, which are really, really cool to do a virtual DJ. It's like having a complete studio at your fingertips, you know, all for the price of just the game. It's pretty cool. I think the future here is really awesome. And if you're a fan of DJing and kind of dance music, this is a great game to get. And like I said at the beginning of this video, 1996 is calling, and they like their game back. No, just kidding. They actually want us to have their game. And that game, of course, is Quake VR. And for those of you who don't know Quake, it was pretty much the biggest first-person shooter back in the 90s. It was super popular. There were lots of leagues that were set up around it. And I was very involved myself in that game. It was a lot of fun. It was leading-edge graphics at the time. Well, user Dr. Beef over on Reddit has actually gone and made some improvements to it. Now, the same developer was working on the Go and actually even back on the Gear VR, but they brought it forward. They've improved the graphics, they've improved the textures, the geometry, the performance, and they've also included 6 degrees of freedom. So now you've got a bit of a room scale experience right on your Quest. Now, to get access to this game, you're gonna have to sideload it. And the good news is, if you don't like the command lines and sort of the complexity of sideloading, there's a new app called SideQuest. that it's a graphical interface, it's drag and drop, point and click, and you can put games and apps and things on your Quest that are not supported in the Oculus Store just like that. Super, super simple. Remarcus here has got a fantastic video on how to do it. I highly recommend if you're interested, go check it out. You don't have to be a techie geek to do this. This is something that anyone can do. And this really will just instantly expand your options of what games you can play, including ones like I spoke of in the last couple weeks, Pavlov, which is a first-person shooter in alpha right now, and it's getting rave reviews. So go play that for free and go check it out. And with that same application, SideQuest, you can also go ahead and put in Beat Saber custom tracks via B-Saber. B-Saber is the group and the website. You can go there today, links below, where you can go and browse and look at all the many, many songs that have been custom made by the community for Beat Saber. So if you're not super happy or you don't want to wait any longer for the Beat Saber official song packs, this is a great place to go and look, because you might be surprised your favorite song might already be mapped out for Beat Saber. And again, via SideQuest, it's a click of a button and boom, you got a new track to play with. And I don't want to forget about you Mac users. I know you've sort of felt left out in the cold for the last couple of weeks, that there's been really no way for you to sideload. Well, I'm happy to report that user RMVZ3 has made a Mac Sideload application. And again, it's another point and click sort of affair where you can drag and drop your games and apps you want on your Quest, and boom, just like SideQuest, Mac users too have the same options. So go ahead, Mac users, come join the fun. There's a lot of really cool content that's not in the Oculus Store that you can try out today. All right, that's it for the games this week. Let's go over to some of the apps. There's a couple cool things I want to report on. The first one is Tilt Brush now allows you to bring in reference pictures into the Tilt Brush environment. And what I mean by that, I mean, like a picture that you're trying to paint and you want to be able to look at it. And today, literally, if you're going to do that, you're going to be taking off your Quest and painting because you really can't see it, or maybe peeking through your nose gap if you have one. Well, lucky enough, there's a process, and unfortunately, it's a little on the geeky side, so if you're not a tech-savvy person, this might be a little frightening. But by using tools like Blender, you take a picture, you convert it to an object file, an OBJ file, which is a 3D sort of format, and then load it up to Poly, which is a Google platform, and then go into Tilt Brush, and you can do a few more things there, and you can get those pictures to appear in that environment. Now, like I said, it is technical, but the instructions are pretty step-by-step. The links are below. So if you're an artist inside Tilt Brush and you're dying for a reference, this is probably worth your time to check out. I really hope that Tilt Brush makes this an official feature at some point. Another app this week that I'm really happy to report is Mozilla is releasing a new Firefox Reality Browser for the Oculus Quest. Now, this browser is more than just a web browser. It is a standard 2D browser, and it's a 3D browser. And for any of you who watched my video a couple weeks ago, I reported that by using the Oculus browser, you can launch VR web pages like Moonrider, which is a kind of a Beat Saber-like game, right from the web browser. And it's kind of cool because you go and hit the sort of VR button and it goes from a web page and it wraps around you and boom, you're in that environment. It's pretty cool. Well, Firefox has something similar. And if you don't know, Mozilla, who's behind Firefox, has been really, really heavy in trying to push the web VR format. And they're really gung-ho trying to bring that to reality. And I think that as we go forward, more and more things will become VR experiences just on the web. They won't be downloads. They won't be things you put on your phone. It's just going to be there in the cloud all the time. But we're seeing the early days of that. So if you're interested, go check it out. What's cool about Firefox is that not only does it have the immersive piece that we talked about, it also has voice search. It's got a movie mode, so you can be watching a YouTube in that browser and go into a movie mode, and other web pages that have video content can go to movie mode. It's got privacy browsing, so for those of you who don't want Facebook looking at all your search history and what you're looking at, because everything you do the Oculus browser is tracked, so just so you know. And this has a privacy mode, so you can at least stop that from happening. And I think that this is something that if you're a Firefox fan, probably should check out. If you're a privacy fan, you should probably check it out. Everybody else, you're probably okay with Oculus browser. But it's a pretty cool thing to look at nevertheless. And for those of you who don't know, E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which happens every year in Los Angeles, takes place next week, June 11th to June 13th. and it's going to be a hype train of news. Let me tell you, Oculus has already said that they're making their biggest presence ever at the show, them partnering with their Facebook gaming family is what they said on their blog. A link below to the official blog post. No matter what, it's going to be an exciting week. I know that I'm going to be a whole bunch of busy next week putting the news together for you because I'm anticipating accessories, games, apps. Maybe we'll hear more about that whole arena scale thing they showed last year at the OC5. I think we're going to be up for some pretty cool announcements, and we've been told by Facebook and Oculus, expect some big news. So come on back June 15th for your Oculus Quest Week in Review, because it's going to be a super mega jam-packed news week. I am afraid almost how much work that's going to be. For those of you a little more budget conscious, there's a really cool group over on Reddit by Redditors Pandawan and XR Watcher. They have created an interesting watching tool that looks at the Oculus Store, and anytime a new game gets posted and or price drops, it gets posted to this subreddit. And so if you go ahead and subscribe to that and turn on notifications, you can get instantly notified every time a game drops in price. And so for those of you, like I said, are on a budget, this could be a good way to save a bit of money. And Oculus is known to put just about everything at some point or another on sale, less a few titles. And this week, Sebastian over at MRTV, fantastic channel if you haven't been there, he did a really detailed video on wearing glasses in the Quest. Now, I don't wear glasses, but a lot of people that I know do, and I've done a lot of demos over the last 2 weeks with my Quest, and I hadn't had any problems yet with glasses, except for one, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Anyways, Sebastian goes through, he talks about people with small glasses, medium glasses, and even fairly large frame glasses, and he walks through the entire thing, what it's like, what it feels like on your face, what the visuals are like. Very thorough. So if you're a potential Quest buyer and you're wearing glasses and you're not so sure, go check out, link is below. Sebastian does a fantastic job in really breaking it all down for you. The next story is something that I am personally going to be trying as soon as I'm done producing the news this week. OpenPC Reviews over on YouTube produced a video showing us a tool called Quest ASM. It's an advanced settings tool that you can use both on your PC and from within inside the Quest, and you can start to play around with settings around the resolution. You can bump the resolution up, and he shows some examples of what that looks like, and apparently, and according to him, it looks a hell of a lot better when you pump it up. You almost won't want to go back. Now, it doesn't work for everything. Some games are already at the very peak of the Quest capabilities, and pushing it anymore is just going to start to causing, stutters and frame drops, which is not a pleasant experience in VR. But there are some games that have a lot of headroom, like the Oculus Home, and you can pump it up and get a much higher visual experience. So that's rather interesting. Now, one of the downsides is that it's going to get a little hotter, and your battery is going to drain much faster. But if you're a tinkerer and a little bit technical and want to play around, this could be something for you to go check out. I know I'm gonna. Now, this is something that I personally have been wanting to do myself, and I did a little dabbling with this in a previous YouTube video before I had this channel, where I was using the Samsung Odyssey and mapping out my home. I was using Unreal Engine, and I would literally try to build the geometry of my home and then go into VR and walk around that and try to have it fit the actual geometry of my house. So geometry in VR matching the geometry of my house. Well, I Love to Regen Health user over on Reddit, they went ahead and did this for their apartment. And the results, as you can see in this video here, are pretty darn cool. He even sits on his bed, which is in the same spot. Now, you can do something like this today yourself if you really want to give it a try. If you've got Tilt Brush, you can go ahead and paint your furniture in Tilt Brush and then sit on it. Yeah, it's really trippy, to say the least, but it's really cool and fun to try. You don't need to have a lot of development, programming skills to do that. You can just go ahead and literally draw the outline of your furniture. In fact, you can go and draw your entire house. It's something that I've done, and whenever I get around to it, I'm gonna produce a video on it. It's really cool to see your house drawn. Couple more stories for you. For those of you who are really finding the Quest uncomfortable, and I am one of those people, it really gives me quite the mark on my face, and I can only wear it for about an hour right now at most, and I gotta pull that sucker off and take a break. there are some potential relief. Now, last week in my news review, I talked about a number of different options. So if you're not sure what that is, go ahead and check that. It was the June 1st news. One of those options was a product called Studio Forms. They've got a strap that basically goes over or top your head, kind of from side to side on the Quest, and apparently, what I've been reading, it lifts it off your face a lot better and greatly improves the comfort. Now, I must admit, I was a little skeptical, but many of you out there reported or commented on that video saying that you got that product and you were amazed at how much more comfortable it was. In fact, I haven't really seen a negative comment about this product yet. Everyone's saying that it makes it better. So, of course, I went and ordered two. I'll report on my experience once I get them. So if it's something that you're looking for, I highly recommend going and checking them out. And I know a lot of you in the comments were saying the only problem you had was you didn't know how to put it on properly. So I went over and contacted Studio Form and I got a PDF guide from them. The link is below. So if you're interested in this device and want to see how it gets put on, or you have this device and don't know how to put it on, link below, go check it out. Full instructions are there for you. And as I was saying before, one of the downsides with any VR device and people wearing glasses is that the glass of the glass on the glasses and the glass in the lenses of the Quest can rub together when they're up against your face really tight, and unfortunately they can give you sort of scratches. Well, apparently there's a cure for that. User karldeux shared with us this week that using a product called Polywash Polish, use a kind of very, very fine abrasive material. It's like a gel that you rub on your lens and you can polish those scratches out. So if any of you already have a scratch, this might be something worth thinking about. Now, I will warn you, reading the comments, and the link to this are all below, reading the comments on Reddit, some people said that they tried it and they find it worked, but they got a little more God rays and a little more hazy, because it is micro scratches this material does give you. And others said it was just fine, and the scratch went away and it looks just as good as ever. So just a warning, if you try this, you might make it better in some ways and worse in others, and maybe you'll get lucky. But if it is something that you have a problem with, I urge you to check out the link below, and maybe this is something that can help you with your scratch. And by the way, if you have glasses or you're giving some the demo with glasses, be very aware that you can get your lenses scratched, and it can happen fairly easy. I got a little micro one this week. Thank goodness it's not in a spot that I can really see. It's sort of below my vision, but that was a close call. For those of you watching my channel this week, you may have saw me post a video, and this was a really special video for me. Last Saturday, when I posted my original video, I had two problems. First, it wasn't rendering anything past 360 on YouTube, and I waited many hours, and I went and looked online, and apparently a lot of people were having this problem, and the only way around it was to re-upload. And then two, I made a silly typo, and I also misspoke something in the date of the video. And so I decided, well, I'll re-render it and just re-upload it and see if I can fix this resolution problem. Well, unfortunately, I was out of the house the rest of that day and could not be near my PC when rendering completed. Now, this has happened to me before, and normally I would take my phone and I would use an app called TeamViewer, and I would access my home PC, and I would try to post it that way. And I tell you, it is clumsy. It's so hard to do in that tiny little screen on your big computer. So this week I thought, why not use virtual desktop and remotely access my PC and post my video? And so if that's something that interests you and you want to see how using your desktop outside of your home in Oculus Quest, this is really the future. Go check out that video. The link is up here right now. I am really happy and so thrilled that I have this tool in my life to access my computer. It's a miracle, I feel like, because I have been accessing my computer remotely on small screens for a long time. So this is a big step into the future. And the last story I'll leave with you this week is, if you have not tried your Oculus Quest outdoors yet, not in the sun, more in the evening or on a cloudy day, you really gotta try it. And or if you've got a big gym or something you can use, big spaces in the Quest is unbelievable. I've got a video on this coming along that I'm gonna share with you, but just to give you an idea, when I first tried it and I drew my boundary as big as I possibly could, which is apparently 25 by 25, but I measured bigger, so that's gonna be in the video. When I finally finished and you saw the boundary go up around you, it was like, oh my goodness, this is a huge room. And playing super hot in there was like a totally different game. You know, instead of someone running up and they're shooting and you're ducking and waiting for them to get closer, I would just really run up to them and give them a pop, right? Because you could run like 15 feet, no problem. You didn't have to worry about hitting the boundary. In fact, lots of games benefit from this, but not all. Some games you realize are designed for room scale and you're really meant to teleport around, while others walking around, no problem. And it's a game changer. And I predict there's going to be a lot of people finding big spaces, be it outdoors at night or indoors in gyms and community halls and whatnot. This is going to become something big because big spaces is really freeing. It is just as shocking to me to have that much space as going from sitting VR way back in the DK1 when you couldn't walk around, to that very first time I got the Vive and walked around. That was mind-blowing. Having a really big open space is equally as mind-blowing. So please go ahead and check it out. And remember, watch your Quest lenses. Use your paper insert or anything on the lenses when you go outside, even on a cloudy day. Because as you know, last week I reported some users have found damage even after only 2 minutes in the sun. So be super, super careful. All right, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this news. If you have any comments, go ahead and leave them below. If you have any suggestions for story you'd like me to cover for next week, also please go ahead and comment below. Next week is E3, so prepare for a very, very busy June 15th news. Put it on your calendar. I can't wait to report to you all the crazy news that is certainly going to come out of the week ahead of us. I hope you're enjoying your quest, and as always, I'll see you in the Metaverse.